Oh, yeah.
Hey Cindy.
On the way. Oh my God.
One spot.
I have to plug this in.
Thanks for the heads up.
Emails all up to go.
Yeah.
I don't want to take the flight down there.
I was telling her.
Oh, there is one right there, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How slow it.
Oh my gosh.
Also, city council. Holy cow.
You know,
I had 58. Yeah, so you got like 2 more minutes.
you can buy yours.
Hey.
Yeah.
Too old for Venmo.
I'm curious. Is that what it was?
Thanks.
So I'm curious your take.
Ended up coming in second and third. That's what.
Oh, yeah. I knew I was.
Cause you're
close
looking
from
for
the
the city's
beginning.
beginning.
The first two picks were.
Yeah.
Is it better than the previous position?
I mean, I was working 5 days a week.
Wow. There's that.
Oh,
And then there's these. That's fair. Oh, pregnancy going.
It's good. Yeah. Things. I'm over. Everyone's on.
Good.
We call to order our regular city council meeting for January 14th, 2025. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Really?
Thank you. Welcome all. Roll call, Cindy.
That
I'm
would
sorry,
be
Shelley.
me. That's all right. Honorable
I
Mayor
have it.
Grover,
I'm present.
Councilmember Overhauser. Present. Councilmember Schmidt,
Present.
Councilmember Bartels,
Present.
Councilmember Bealock,
Here.
Councilmember Nazaro,
Present.
Councilmember Labar,
Present.
Councilmember Pastor.
Present.
Thank you, Shelley. Okay, next on the agenda is citizen comments. This is an opportunity for our citizens to provide testimony, comments to our city council. I did not see anybody sign up, but I'll offer it up to those in the crowd. If anybody wishes to speak. Seeing none, how about anybody that's joining us virtually? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to our minutes from our December 10th regular city council meeting. You've had an opportunity to review those. If there's no corrections, I'd accept the motion to approve those.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to approve our minutes from our December 10th, 2024 regular city council meeting. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay. Meetings are approved. Vouchers and payroll.
So this is the time of year when we approve for 2024 and 2025. The 2024 vouchers are $1,771,085.62. That includes expenditures of $1,750,646.80 plus our interdepartmental billing of $20,438.82. Our 2025 expenditures are $743,532.21, and our 2024 December payroll was $1,245,323.97.
Your Honor, the Finance Committee reviewed these items. I would move for approval of the 2024 expenses.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Have any comments, questions?
Yeah, I just have a couple, Cindy. Well, this can be for anyone, just a question. When we, I know, so we had Cheney Free Press, when we put, an ordinance in the free press, do we just have to post it? It doesn't have to they don't have to have a avenue to respond back to us as a council. It's just for us to post.
So we
It's required.
Right. Correct. Yeah.
So the free press is our paper of record.
Right.
So we send that there and then we just publish a summary.
Okay.
So we don't publish the whole thing. So it's just a summary in their legal section.
Right.
So they just publish it like it's, an ad almost.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's
I
what
looked
is.
at it. I just didn't know if it was required for us to have feedback on it. But
No.
it's not. It's just,
From the public.
Yeah.
That would be,
Oh, that's-
hopefully the feedback would come prior to when the ordinance is passed.
yeah, Great. Okay. And then second, the expenditure to Diamond Asphalt for 13,186.27 on the 10th. Is that, I noticed we have a resolution today, F 324. Is that for something different or what was that for? So do we, okay. I guess my question was, did we pay for something before we okayed that ordinance or how did we?
It's in the. Yeah, I'll check out the account. Yeah. It's probably that big of a.
Okay. So it's not part of the resolution for today. But we already paid it.
We don't, yeah.
The checks are actually mailed.
Okay.
And so sometimes when things like that happen, he knows that he has this bill, he has to come to you for an appropriation increase. So he does that, but we have that set over there. If by
Okay.
some chance you guys said no, we'd go and we'd pull the check and we wouldn't. pay.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, motion and a second to approve the 2024 expenditures. Any other comments? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you. 2024 vouchers and expenditures are approved.
And Your Honor, we also reviewed the 2025 work, and I would also move approval.
Second.
And I have a motion and a second to approve the 2025 vouchers. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you, Cindy. Our 2024 and 2025 expenditures are approved. Once again, we don't have any claims for damages, which is nice, but you can see the plethora of rec programs that are listed under small contracts that I signed. So shout out to the Parks and Rec Department for their outreach, and it's just amazing. I'm surprised we could fit all this in our little brochure. Got so many different rec programs. I won't read through those. You can look at those. We do have an information item. This is the 1919 collective bargaining tentative agreement. Mark.
Hey, Mark, is that TV just not working?
Life's good. Or the other.
Sure. Yeah, thanks.
Might have to walk over to it.
Billy turn one of them on. These connected?
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
Well, it seems like they are. 'cause
One
they-
should work.
Yeah. It's usually pointed towards that one, they both flip on. Okay,
I think we can go with one.
we're gonna have to share, I guess.
It's on. It's just not working.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight I'm here to present the tentative 2025 to 2027 IAF labor contract. Just some key points to sort of kick things off. This was a very collaborative effort between the management, the fire department, the bargaining unit. We went from start to finish throughout the entire document, looking at every single article. So a lot of changes, a lot of very positive changes. We tried to organize the contract better, putting like things together, things that made sense. One of the biggest changes is we've added a new step compensation system that's built upon core competencies amongst the bargaining unit members to better serve the community, to ensure that they are learning and growing and able to respond to all the new challenges that are out there these days. We took a look at the wage adjustments and compared ourselves to our regional and like agencies that are out there, and I'll get into more detail with that later. But very good overall negotiation process. Very thankful for the input from Chief Jenkins and Deputy Chief Anderson as we worked with the union to get to where we are today. So I won't talk about every single thing that changed, but I do want to hit a couple of high points. So Article 8 probationary period, we made some changes to the language to standardize that both for new hires and anybody promoted, their probationary period would be 12 months. For promotions, it was only 6 months prior to, and we just didn't feel as though that gave us enough time, or the chief or the deputy chief enough to really assess somebody's performance. So we bargained a 12-month probationary period, which I think in the end serves everybody very well. Under hours, we did add a 40-hour work week schedule for non-shift personnel, which allows the chief some flexibility in scheduling based on the operational needs of the department. So just giving him another tool in the toolbox to efficiently operate his operation. Discipline, this was just a kind of a minor change. And it was really meant to sort of draw this bright line between what's discipline and what's corrective action, and how quickly we can address, I'll say, these smaller issues before they become bigger issues. In the old contract language, it required 72 hours notice before you wanted to sit down and talk to somebody about an issue. And their preference was, look, if it's a small issue, like for example, let's say somebody was tardy a couple times. We just like to be able to sit down and talk to them right then and there. It's not a discipline. It's more of just a corrective action to say, hey, need to fix this. And so the union was very agreeable to be able to handle situations like that. Health benefits. This was a very simple change. And the reason I put this slide up is just to make you all aware, remind some of you, and then maybe educate some of our new council members. The IAFF is the only group of employees in the city that's not under the Association of Washington Cities Benefits Trust. They actually have the IAFF Benefits Trust is who provides their medical. So I just wanted to call that out there. They had a branding change, I'll say. They used to be the Northwest Firefighters Trust, and they changed it to the IAFF. Callback pay, made some changes to the language to make sure we're in compliance with the WAC that requires a minimum 2 hours of callback pay. The language lays out the expectation that if and when an employee is called back to duty, they will perform a minimum of 2 hours work. And just for your information, most of our callbacks are either for major events or shift coverage, and they last well over 2 hours. With holidays, as we've done the other contract, we added Juneteenth as a city holiday. We did remove this cash grant of 8 hours of floating holiday pay, but we added a VIVA contribution for all the members that complete an annual physical. We really want people to be concerned about their wellness, their health. And so, especially in the fire service, where we're seeing more and more cancers, more and more of these diseases pop up, we want people to get to the doctor, get these early detections in place to hopefully help them stay safe and healthy. Sick leave, major change here is just we combined a separate session on return to work into sick leave. Really just clarified the process for an employee returning to work from a leave due to either injury or illness, whether that be mental or physical, and to ensure, and that's really just to ensure that the employee is fit to actually perform the duties of the position. What it also provides us is a management right for an independent physician to actually do the assessment of fitness for duty. In prior years and in past, we always just relied on maybe a personal physician, and we felt that they don't always make a very accurate, representation of the person's true fitness to come back to work. So having an independent medical person do these makes us feel a lot better. The person really is ready to come back and safely perform the functions of their position. EMS certification requirement. So we made a slight change to the language in the contract. The language in the contract used to say we had to have a paramedic on each shift. We've shifted the language to say, rather than a paramedic, we will have someone with their ALS certification on each shift. We made this change due to the difficulties of finding paramedic level trained personnel and a lack of folks that are willing to go achieve that certification. It's a lot of work to get to that paramedic level. And I'll invite Chief or Jeff, if you want to come up and talk about the differences, maybe.
Jeff's probably better postured to speak to this since he teaches it. He's certified to teach it, but your BLS versus ALS are still two sort of umbrellas under state law. On your basic level of service is your basic EMTs. And some emergency medical responder type stuff. But here at the City of Cheney Fire, all of our career firefighters, to include our volunteers, are at a minimum EMT B basic certified. And then you move into the ALS realm, or the advanced level of service realm, and that incorporates advanced EMTs and or paramedics. And then it could branch even further and beyond that for major metropolitan type fire departments into having nurses and physician assistants on staff. Paramedicine's a big thing across the nation with that. But the juice and the squeeze for paramedics, especially in Washington State and more specifically in Spokane County, Dr. Jim Nania, who manages the EMS protocols, we all operate under Dr. Nania's license essentially in Spokane County. And he has the autonomy to allow us to do things a little bit above and beyond that scope of practice, because he has given us great training, great tools to do the job, and then great oversight with that. So, you know, a basic EMT, which Jeff's teaching the third year class in that EMT course up at Eastern right now, is about 200 hours for your basic. Where'd you go over? About 200 hours or so, and then you get another 50 hours that you got to get in on some ride time, patient contacts. An advanced EMT is about another 300 hours on top of that. Now, if you bridge from an advanced EMT to a paramedic, you're looking at 12 to 18 months of certification, another 1,000 hours on top of that. The skill difference between your advanced EMT and your paramedic here in Spokane County, it's not that much of a bridge. And as Mark alluded to, it's not a Spokane issue. It's not a Washington State issue. It's a nationwide issue trying to get enough people to want to sign up to be paramedics post-COVID. Because generally, just a paramedic that's riding with, say, AMR makes just a little bit more per hour than an employee that works at McDonald's. So a little disheartening with that. So we're still maintaining a great level of service as ALS with an advanced EMT, which in about a few months, we have all of our full-time career firefighters, the 4 or 5 that remain that are basic EMTs are signing up for the advanced EMT course. So we're paying for them, putting them through that class, and then we'll yield a lot of benefit from them with their advanced skill level. I'll probably be the lowest trained, to be honest with you, good with that.
No, I think you hit the big one. I just think it's important that this body knows, from a standpoint, it's a tremendous source of pride for us as a city with where we've gone in EMS. Back when Chief Steiner started, we won't call him out for being super old on the job yet. That comes in a few months, but the department has continued to evolve. And when we brought in advanced EMT and paramedic, the skill set that we have today is so far beyond where it was when I started. And we really are seeing those gaps close on the advanced EMT piece. That's bigger than just certification. That becomes really the source of the training and the work we've done. And I think we've seen that in the EMS levy. And so being able to do this to incentivize these advanced EMT positions and continue to support ALS, we're seeing the results on the ground. And I know it's been discussed in the past, but Spokane County had the largest save rate, not in the US, but on planet Earth last CPR. And when we look at what's happening and how these skill sets are evolving, it's all because of the work.
So help me say that again. Spokane County as a body with each jurisdiction in it, not just Spokane County's fire, but all of us.
All of us collectively, and Cheney, honestly, also straight up.
Well, Dr. Jim Nania has gone over to Olympia 2 years in a row, received that award, and then he'll bring that back and present it here at Spokane County. But he'll tell you, it's not the doctors that are saving people's lives, because unless you have a heartbeat that we have sustained for 10 minutes, we don't transport you to the hospital. So you never even make it in front of a doctor, in most cases, under this concept. So he's very, very good at saying that, you know, it's the first responders that are saving people's lives.
I just wanted to clarify, it wasn't Spokane County, it was, oh, yeah.
We did some rewrites to the Article 10, which is personnel reduction or layoffs. Really what we did here is try to move strictly from a seniority-based layoff to one based on more core competence to ensure that we have the ability to keep or just retain the personnel with the highest levels of skills in the key operational areas within the fire department. It also extends the recall list. So if somebody's laid off, they're on a list for 2 years, or under which we can recall them. But this is important to us because if we do get into a situation where we would have to do layoffs, we want to maintain, the best fighters and EMS personnel that we can. So this is important language for us to get in the contract. Personnel file management, just a quick little change on clarifying what's maintained in an employee's personnel file relating to discipline or corrective action, how we're going to handle those documents. Step classifications. As I mentioned in the opening, this was a kind of just a start from scratch. Let's take a look at how we're compensating our firefighters. And we want that to be based on their core competencies when it relates to firefighting and emergency medical services. So we worked very closely with the union on this, but this is really Jeff and Chief Jenkins that put this matrix together. I'm sorry, this is a little bit small. I'll be happy to send this out to everybody in a little more detail, but so we've created a 4-step progression, and these steps are based on basically achieving certifications and certain trainings to a competency level to move up in terms of the compensation you get. These are all important skill sets that the chief or the deputy chief has identified that we need to be able to perform for the community. Anybody in need, whether it be for firefighting or for EMS. This is a very comprehensive matrix, I think. These are things that are not necessarily easy to achieve. So there'll be some, I'll say, sweat equity on the part of the employees to achieve, these higher steps 3 and 4 in particular, at each level of a rank structure. So from battalion chiefs on down to firefighters. Seniority list. We used to list the names of all the employees actually in the contract, and things change over time. So we decided, let's just take the names out. And so we're going to keep those in admin HR. We'll just keep a list of seniority dates and promotional testing scores and things outside the contract. We just reference them in the contract. Shift bid, added some language clarifying the process for shift bidding. And that provides the department management the right to move personnel to meet the operational needs of the department. Some of that could get back to the individual skill sets to make sure we have a full complement of highly skilled personnel on each of our 3 shifts within the fire department. So comparables. We have had the same comparables in the contract for probably as long as I can remember, since I've been here. And so one of the things we negotiated was having better comparables, ones that are more similar to us or more local to us. So we replaced Ellensburg, and Ellensburg used to have their own city fire department. Then they joined up with Kittitas Valley. And so we replaced them with Airway Heights, and then we replaced Moses Lake with Spokane Fire District 10. They're in our labor market. We're recruiting, against them for talented personnel and things. So it just made more sense to compare them. So the next thing we did was when we went out collaboratively kind of with the union and looked at the wages and benefits of some of our comparables, we took a comprehensive approach from the standpoint of, we didn't want to just look at, what their hourly wage was or what their monthly wage was. Let's look at their total compensation. So not only their monthly salary or their wage, or their hourly wage, but also some of the benefits. And let's compare ourselves kind of across the board. And so again, once again, I apologize. These numbers are a little bit small, but with the proposed wages that we have for 2025, it gets us to nearly the average for all our comparables, which is something that we've been striving to do for a long time. If you remember back to the last contract, we were lagging significantly behind in a lot of our competitors. And so we made great strides during the last contract. This one gets us even farther and even closer to the average. So we're remaining competitive with our comparable fire organizations, kind of in the West Plains region, but also reaching down even into Pullman. So for wages, these are the negotiated wages for 2025 based on that new step classification. So you'll see the numbers next to the rank. That's actually the number of people in each one of those ranks. And also as a reminder, the battalion chief position or the battalion division chief is kind of slowly being replaced by the captain. We have one remaining battalion chief who will be most likely retiring at some point in 2025, and that will be replaced by another captain position within the department. For informational purposes, we made an assessment of where all of our people are, and most of the employees in the department are going to be coming in at either step 1 or step 2 of their individual rank, just based on their certifications and their skills to date. So they'll have something to strive for if they want to get to that step 3s and step 4. For 2026 and 27, we took a look at any COLAs would be based on the 100% CPI, all urban consumers West region, averaging all months from July of 24 to 25 for 2026, with a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 3.75. Same goes for 2027, using the average of all months from July of 25 to June of 2026. And if you don't know what CPI is, that's Consumer Price Index. We did add some longevity. This was a means to retain some of our highly skilled and trained personnel. And this is very consistent what we looked at with our some of our comparables and things. After 7 years of service, they get an extra 2.25%. After 12 years, 4.5%. And then the medical certification, we didn't make any change to the premium pay for paramedics. It's been 10% for a number of years now. We did bump up a bit the AEMT or the ALS premium pay from 2 to 4.5%. And really, as Chief mentioned, it's important to us to get people up and sort of make it worth their while to get that advanced level of care that they can provide to the community. And that's pretty much it. Again, I'd like to thank, the IAFF and their bargaining team for a very collaborative negotiation experience. I couldn't have done this without Chief Jenkins and Deputy Chief Anderson. They both brought a heck of a lot to the table. I thought it was a great session, one of the better negotiation sessions I think we've had. And the amount of work that we put into this, I think really shows in the final product that you will have up for consideration at the next council meeting. But great work. I think it's a very mutually beneficial contract. There's some things that the city got in there that we needed to have. And on the other side, they made some gains, I'll say, on getting more comparable in terms of wages and benefits. With that, I will answer any questions, or if you have specific questions for Chief or Jeff, they will be happy to answer as well.
Thanks, Mark. Any questions for Mark? Comments? I also want to echo, well done. I like a win-win negotiation when it comes to contracts, and City of Cheney is known for having good negotiations. Thank you. Questions?
I have a couple,
please.
probably easy ones. BIBA, is that like a HSA?
Yeah, that's the, put it in for medical reimbursement kind of things.
Cool. Second question, did we retrofit the longevity pay?
Meaning retro.
Like it was 7 years, 12 years, someone who's been here for 7 years already, it's not starting off now, is it?
So basically, it looks at their total years of service. If they've got 7 in already, then they would get it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's not 7 years from start of the
Okay,
contract.
got it, yes.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We don't have any appointments, but we do have a handful of action items. First one, Todd, is resolution F-321, Golden Hills Sixth Edition Phase 2 Final Subdivision Plat Approval.
Yeah, as you recall, we did the preliminary plat of the Golden Hills, just a little, under 2 years ago. And we brought back the first phase this last year, and now we're looking at the second phase. In your packet, you can see the remaining around the cul-de-sac. Those remaining lots, they have completed all the construction and pretty much switched, but we did have some erosion off the backside of the hill during these rain events. Corrected, so up for consideration to do the final plats, and Lennar is in town. If you've been up that way, very busy. First phase, and they're already are NC to submit.
Thanks, Todd. And of note, Planning Commission did review this yesterday, or no, on the 9th.
No, the preliminary plat will set by the planning commission. It goes to council. And then once the preliminary plat's in, say, it just comes back to the council.
I just had a question from the planning commission. It looks like in January of 23, it looked like there was 2 opposed. Do you know what the opposition was? It said 3 approved, 2 against. I was just curious. That seems like a really
Just
close,
really
but the findings. Okay,
might be able to capture it in minutes.
okay, okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Todd. I think the last time we looked at this, I remember we talked quite a bit about that hillside. Could you just fill us in a little bit on what they're doing to make sure that's not gonna fall
Sure.
away in the future?
I think that with the hillside, it all comes to planting the vegetation. And so
Okay.
take a look at Golden Hills Fifth, their vegetation established. So we see some, basically some trenching and some runoff coming down into the Golden Hills Fifth. That is from up above, running over their vegetation, but also in the same respect in Golden Hills Fifth, their construction schedule and some of their cleanup. We've noticed that there is piles of dirt back behind places that are also getting heavy rain that is eroding into similar areas. So we'll be contacting not only, we've already contacted their engineer to make that corrective action before we even sign the final plat. And we'll probably we'll get a hold of, I believe maybe the HOA, depending on where their building permit is and what's going on, to piles of dirt on a hill that's subject to run.
Just had a quick question, Todd. So for this final, they never bonded for any improvements. And I'd like to have some further discussion of that, because I think it's a really good way to go. In other cases, you would have a contractor who would post a bond and come to us with the preliminary and then get it final, and then put improvements in. And the only sure thing that we have is a bond by insurance company that they're gonna complete it for the final plat instructions. I much more prefer this way. They're actually putting everything in before we buy it. What I mean buy it is all of the utilities, the streets, the elevations, the drainage, all that is in and approved before the mayor signs off. And so I think that's good, and right now we allow both methods for development. I'm not hard and fast on it, but I think it warrants some further discussions. Why I much prefer for this. But having said that, the second part of that is what in the world was going on up there? Cause there, it was like they must have been training equipment operators. It was like for 2 years, you could hear equipment and dust and do it again, tear it down, do it again.
Yeah, I mean, a majority of the effort was trying to stabilize that hillside and working with our geotech. So they actually had to cut into those banks and what they call a stair step to get the compaction down. That way there's not a true slope. When you start taking stair steps, you take that cave in or that slope away from it. Doing that, and then when they got up on top of the hill, to provide them a little bit more room and a little bit less steepness, they decided to go ahead and shave off that cul-de-sac down a little bit more. And I believe it's almost to the original hillside, if I remember right, that's what they were trying to accomplish. So there was about, I want to say about 60,000 more cubic yards removed off of that hillside just to bring it down to where they felt it was within, kind of a safe level and to kind of manage that bank. And then to answer Councilman Schmidt's concern is that in our code, when you do have a preliminary plat, you can actually, there's 3 methods. You can bond for the whole improvement. You go right to final plat. So you do have the lots there, but you don't have the infrastructure in. And that's kind of a challenge to that. And they can start building houses, trying to put the infrastructure in as they're building the houses. It could create a mess. Within 2 years, if they don't have all their improvements done, then we would have to take action to try to develop all that. So now we're into handling a construction, going against the bond. The second one is they just go ahead and put the improvements in, and then we're like tonight, all the improvements in, construction has been approved, the certifications of the plat has been approved, and then they can go ahead and final plat, which basically creates the box. And then the third one is just a combination of the two. Maybe they do so much of it and maybe they're running against the weather, so they want to bond for the remaining efforts. It would be somewhat like Parkside. We've been working with Parkside Second. You can kind of see where the duplex lots and the paved streets are on that side, but there's nothing going on in residential. They're looking at trying to figure out how they are going to go about whether they want to try to bond for those improvements and come back, or whether they want to come back in the spring. They could easily phase it and go with phase 1 and phase 2. They have a lot of options then. But it is, there is a time limit, 2 years to complete all the improvements. And if they don't, then it's basically up to us to go back against insurance and bond. And I've been there. It's not fun.
Harvest Bluff's a perfect example of that. With the swales that they had to improve and they didn't do it.
Yeah,
timely
yeah.
manner.
So Harvest Bluff did a little bit different. It wasn't a bond, but what we like is an irrevocable letter of credit.
Yep.
That really tends to get their attention. Different than going back against insurance company.
Can you remind us what the bonding rate is right now? What is it, 125% or
Yeah.
150?
125% of the actual.
I don't know if that was part of your suggestion to discuss that rate and actually.
No, I'm just,
Just not
I think
have
a
a
future discussion, we could look at this with the planning commission, maybe on this joint meeting and talk about that, where I remember getting in arguments with developers on the 125. They lowball the thing. It just puts more of the onus on the city. Well, I also understand it's, in some ways, not a lot of contractors or developers can afford the outlay of all of the improvements before they sell one lot. I get that, but it's just, it would be a good discussion to see where we fall in that. I don't know. I mean, this is just a good example of a difference from those that we've had, that it's so much more, I guess, acceptable knowing exactly what we're signing off on as opposed to a promise with insurance companies, backing, which you end up spending money on attorneys to go get it. But it works too sometimes. It's just, I'm just saying it might be worth a discussion in the near future.
one caveat to this, and I'll say that you're right. We know now what we have. We have a development with all the infrastructures. I always say, I really hate to dig in Cheney. I really do. From rock blasting to hitting whatever's underground, suitable soils. It is what it is. And if we're left with a development that is bonded and get into it, we have to do well above the 125% if we get into any type of soils conditions that we're unaware of. So there is kind of a risk.
Any other questions for Todd? Yes. go ahead.
So we've had, a geotech has gone out here and assessed the soil and the rocks that they're gonna be building on for this particular section.
Yeah. So we have the geotech report on the backside, and we have all the geotech.
What'd they
Uh,
say?
Everything was good. So what happens is the certification process we have in our design manual is where they actually control they have an engineer on there, our city engineer, gets reports, they do spot inspections, they submit the construction inspection reports. And if there's something that is less than the required compaction, let's say street 95 or 98%, if it's not meeting that, they have to meet it. If it shows up, then we basically. And we have a process where the whole certification package goes to our city engineer, reviews it, we're good, and then that's where today. City engineer, as you know, if you see out there, signs off, wow, and that's his full certification. If you look at the design standards in our section 2, it kind of lays out everything that needs.
Next thing I was looking, the minutes for planning commission haven't been posted in a long time. Is it possible to get the minutes from those meetings when they were having the discussion that led to two?
A couple years ago?
events? Yeah.
Yeah, let me see. I'm sure they're posted. I don't see.
No, they're not.
Okay, they're not on the website.
Correct.
Oh, I'll check this.
Thank you.
I guess just to kind of answer your question. Commissioner Labar's, I think some of the opposition was maybe to the densities, because it did increase, what was it, 15 units to 37?
Density, if I remember, right, was part of the issue, as well as like erosion and runoff, and just that slope in general is not a really stable spot. So that's again why I was wondering what the recommendation was from the geotech, and having that information would be super helpful.
Yeah, if you go out there on site today, the solution was to have the riprap and the ditch on the lower side of it. But again, as if we don't control the erosion.
Anything else?
Your Honor, if there's no further questions or comments, I would make a motion to approve resolution F-321.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion is second to approve resolution resolution F-321, the Golden Hills Sixth Edition Phase 2 Final Subdivision Plat. Any final questions, comments?
Well, just,
Yes.
Jacqueline, what did, or you wanted to see what the discussion? was?
I was curious what the discussion was, because 2 to 3 that's pretty close margins. And if I recall, I was on planning commission during this. So I'm curious to see the minutes from that, because it's been, like you said, it's been a little bit.
We can get
And just, yeah, because I feel like I don't have enough information to really make an educated vote on this without having some of that background information refreshed, I suppose. So that's my stance.
we can get this.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Have a motion in a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Approved, nay? Okay, thank you. Nice have it. Resolution F-321 passes, and we'll get you that information.
Thank you. That'd be handy for future ones as well. If we could just make sure the minutes are getting posted, that'd be really helpful.
The minutes are posted.
Where?
They're, if you go
I
to
thought they-
the website, where the agendas are, they're just all on the site.
Yep. And there was no minutes posted. It wasn't an option for the planning commission on that one.
They're all there.
Yeah.
There's one missing, but they are, the other.
We're
ones
talking
are-
about 2023, correct?
23, I'm looking.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
So if you go to January or February of 2023.
Here.
And go to download.
Oh.
You just click on that.
Just click on the check.
You just click on that. little
Thank you.
check.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Resolution F-322, the Spokane City Hearing Examiner Interlocal Agreement. Are you doing that or is Mark? You're doing
I'll
that?
do
Okay,
that,
go
that
for
one.
it.
Yeah, the hearing examiner, basically, if we have,
Increased.
you know, a protest or something to that end, a decision that they want to have a hearing body, the hearing examiner that we've used with the city of Spokane on that. This was a city of Spokane initiative, and basically what's embedded in this is they are raising their price to $150 an hour for the hearing examiner, and then $60 an hour for the staff. To that end. Typically what happens is when there is, we use a hearing examiner's application, and it's just kind of a pass through because we charge for that hourly portion.
Thanks, Todd. Any questions for Todd on the increase in our hearing examiner costs?
Was this for the increase or just to re-upping the services?
Well, it was
Interlocal
just for an increase. We thought of amendment, but they ended up sending us the whole
Okay,
interlocal, so we're just following their lead.
well, this is a great service to have, otherwise it would fall with either the planning commission or city council. I want nothing to do with quasi judicial proceeding. I would move for the approval. It's 322.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to approve resolution F-322, the Spokane City Hearing Examiner Interlocal Agreement. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you, Todd. Resolution F-322 passes. Steve, resolution F-323, electrical wire purchase bid award.
Good evening. Light department went out to bid in October. Wire conductor, it's the most common gauge we use for a distribution system on our feeders. It was for 50,000 feet. And we had 4 responsive bidders, with American Wire Group being the lowest bid. Comes up to about $1. But they're an outfit out of Florida, but they have a warehouse in California, and they said they can deliver within 1 week. So delivery time and lowest cost.
It wasn't Orange County, was it?
Thought that question was coming. I don't know.
Well,
Wasn't in anybody's garage, so it's unfortunate. But I talked to him last week because most of these bids are good for 30 days. December 12th was the day, and they said they extended 90 days. Contract. Having said that, the light department's recommend approval. One change, resolution itself is second whereas. I have transformers in there in the second whereas place wire. We have that correction, then still recommend.
Thanks, Steve. Any questions for Steve? Go ahead.
Is this aluminum or is this copper?
I think it's all aluminum.
Is it all aluminum? We talked about this at Public Works a while back. See no reason for Vince not to make a motion.
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve 323
Second.
As correct.
as corrected, minus the transformer.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to approve resolution F-323, the electrical wire purchase bid award, correcting transformers with electrical wire. Is that right? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you, Steve. Resolution F-323 passes.
in LA County.
Todd, you're still up. Resolution F-324, 2024 asphalt repairs project amendment 2.
Yeah, and to, this is basically the amendment to, this is kind of a things that we tend to get pushed. It was very hard finding asphalt companies that would come in. We worked with Shamrock, we worked with Diamond Asphalt and a few others to try to get them in here. And this was just this last year's shot in November to get the 7 patches done. All of those were for the water department and we got them in there. This brings forward this amendment, which brings a final, because the asphalt companies are shut down.
Thanks, Todd. Any questions for Todd on this amendment?
Yeah, sorry, just want to double check, Todd. The 44 that you're talking about does include the 13 that I was talking
Yeah,
about.
if you can see down here below, if you take a look into Amendment Two, Amendment Two for the final is that 13,186, and then when you go down, we
Okay,
even
yeah.
have the
Okay, good.
attachment of where we've kind of overran on that.
Yeah, okay. What was it for?
That was for 121 Second Street patch.
Okay.
313 West Fifth patch, 1002 Geary Street patch. These are all water leaks that we've kind of dive into. And we try to get them sealed up before the winter because it's just a nightmare. We don't want
Yeah.
water coming in.
Yeah.
But there was seven patches total in that 13,000.
Great.
Any other questions for?
There are none. I'll move for the approval of resolution F-324.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to approve resolution F-324, the 2024 asphalt repairs project amendment 2. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you, Todd. Resolution F-324 passes. Cindy, resolution F-325, 2025 lodging tax disbursement. This is exciting.
Honor. We had a kind of a short turnaround request, from the Pac-8 Hockey Conference. They are holding their conference tournament at Eastern Washington University at the hockey rink. And they are requesting $11,450 in lodging tax funds for that event. Pulled the lodging tax committee together very quickly. They thought that was a really nice new opportunity to use some of those lodging tax funds and to bring some additional tourists to our community. So their recommendation was to bring that for full council for full approval. Discussed it with finance committee today. They also agreed that was great. So I'm asking for approval of resolution F-325 for the $11,450, please.
Thanks, Cindy. Questions for Cindy? You sat on the board.
If there are no questions, I would move to approve resolution F-325.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to approve resolution F-325, Pac-8 Hockey Conference Championships. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you, Cindy. Resolution F-325 passes. Mark, resolution F-326, Divco Service Agreement Renewals, several.
Yes, so we have had a long relationship with Divco. They do a good job for us. They're very responsive. We have issues. This resolution would authorize the city to sign the agreements for all the various buildings that they provide service to, which would be City Hall, utility building, recycling center, police station, fire station, and the REN. Total amount is $26,012, which is a 3.09% increase over the 2024 numbers. So very reasonable. Again, we've been pleased with their service, so I would recommend this for approval.
Thanks, Mark. Questions for Mark on these Divco service agreements?
Yeah, I have one.
Yes, please.
Have we ever bid this out to anyone else?
Not since I've been here now.
Is it possible?
I mean, we could. I don't know if we can get comprehensive service like we do from Divco from anybody else, but we certainly could.
I think we could, and I think we'd find it cheaper.
I don't know about that, but maybe.
Okay. I've just dealt with them in three different projects. And they were in the first one, 325% higher than anybody else. And in the second one, about 250% higher than anybody else.
Not surprising because this has been pretty reasonable for us over the years. Like I said, they are here very quickly. There's an issue. Like occasionally with this old building, we've had issues with the rooftop equipment. And we're usually here within the hour, which is great.
So you like the service?
I love
That-
the service. Just
Long-
responsiveness of the service alone is impressive.
So
We've had a long partnership.
were these other things multiple sites, multiple buildings, multiple things, or just a
Uh,
single?
no, they weren't multiple, but they were single large projects. Yeah.
And were they public or private or,
One was public, one was private.
and so did you have more? I'm just trying to get,
Yeah.
because, one of
Yeah.
the things we know of is if some people are busy and they really don't want to do a project, sometimes they'll just bid high in the hopes that maybe nobody else will bid and they'll get a high bid. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why it could
Yeah.
be other than, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know all their reasons for why they
Right.
turned in such high bids, but
We
they
don't.
just did.
Yeah.
So I just have this thought in my head that maybe if they're bidding us that high too, that we
I mean,
find,
We've had a good.
find an alternate.
would it hurt
Sorry.
to ask around and see what other rates are?
I think that's something we could do in 2025. I'd like to try to get this through just since, again, we've enjoyed a long relationship with them, but that's something I could definitely put on the agenda for 2025 is to go out and take a look at other opportunities.
I mean, I think the last time we did go out, we might have been involved. We couldn't find anybody that would, do it on an ongoing basis. You could get some that come in one year and then change the whole rate structure. We didn't get anyone to even quote on it the last time. And if I recall again, what we liked was they were very responsive. A lot of times that's hard to get, but I would agree we could go with this this year and then go out with an RFP. Just a quote. I don't know if we're required to. I don't know what the amount is.
Have to look, but
Yeah.
I'll certainly put it on the agenda, things to do.
Yeah. Well, I agree. I think we don't want to have a gap here.
No.
It's 6 months, so. I would move for approval resolution F-326.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to approve resolution F-326, our service agreement renewals for Dibco. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you, Mark. Resolution F-326 passes. We have one ordinance Y-82, the Comcast franchise agreement. We're only looking for a first or
We've already done the first.
already done the first.
So,
For a second, maybe
I've
third.
received no comments,
Okay.
from anyone. So I'd certainly be willing to accept the second and third if you would so desire, or we can just do the second tonight and push third out to the next. But I know Comcast is kind of chomping at the bit to get this thing moving. They want to heavily invest in Cheney and, once we get this in place, Steve's been working on the pole attachment agreement and things that will go along with it. Bring,
Earth to 'em.
we'll see. Now, I did, they have an aggressive build out. They're committed to coming in and serving the city of Cheney. And it's been interesting because if I look back like about 7 or 8 years ago, we had approached them. They had no interest at that.
Yeah, let's,
None. But something changed. So
They need more people to hate them.
yeah. That Jack.
We are looking for a second and final if
Yeah, if
Request
there's
is for
no,
final.
if there's no opposition to that.
Well, Your Honor, if there are no questions,
Go ahead, Teresa.
I do have one.
I would move for the second and third reading of ordinance Y-82 in title and summary form only, and that it be placed before us for final passage.
Second. Did I get a second?
yeah.
Okay. I have a motion and a second for the second and third reading of ordinance Y-82 Comcast franchise agreement, and that it be placed before you all for final passage. Any further comments or questions?
Yeah.
Mark.
Real quick. We've talked quite a bit in Public Works about our fiber optic. Are they taking up some of our fiber optic? Or how are they getting services to us?
They're actually building it out themselves.
They're building it out themselves. Okay, so we don't have any issues with that fiber optic that we own.
No,
that
they,
we
they
need
they
to
have
lease
a
to them
complete
or-
build out plan that
great.
Steve and his department have been collaborating
Yeah.
with them on. That, like when I said they're making a big investment, they're making a
Yeah.
really big investment because they're running all the infrastructure out here.
I noticed in the contract that it also said that if we wanted to add something in the infrastructure of that, we could. Have we thought that through, Todd or Steve, that is there anything we want to put in a trench or add to that along the way? Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
So going with Comcast or approving this, we're pretty much putting the lid on any future conversations about municipal services.
Not necessarily. This is a non-exclusive, agreement.
Okay, but in practice,
Well,
Comcast coming in, monopoly essentially, this is essentially going to
well,
make it very difficult for future conversations. Because I know we've talked about municipal services in the past.
I mean, that's a big ask, from his standpoint of standing up a whole new operation. We'd have to look at feasibility of doing something like that. Again, competition tends to be a good thing. Till we could start up an operation. I mean, this would be a whole new ballgame for us.
And I believe these franchise agreements are pretty well, the cities have to do it. If a valid vendor comes in, we have to accommodate.
Okay.
That's kind of the way the law works. Is that correct?
On the same terms that we're offering it to others. We can't pick and choose.
And as long as we're getting the same terms from like Davis and CenturyLink, that's
And
all good.
simply,
This is heavily regulated.
Right.
Heavily,
Yeah.
heavily.
Uh,
regulated.
So Mike, I actually had that question when we were thinking about this ordinance. So why are we putting it before us if we don't have a decision now?
The city
It's the
still
law.
has to give the
Well, we have to.
franchise to allow them to operate in our right.
Okay.
We do lots of things that we don't have a choice.
Yeah.
we have a motion and a second. Any final comments? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay? Nay? Ayes have it. Shelley?
Ordinance number Y 82, an ordinance granting Comcast Cable Communications Management LLC the right, privilege, authority, and non-exclusive franchise to construct, operate, maintain, reconstruct, repair, and upgrade the cable system upon, over, under, along, across, and through the franchise area for the purpose of providing cable services subject to the terms and conditions set forth in this ordinance and applicable law.
Thank you, Shelley. Councilmember Overhauser.
Aye.
Councilmember Schmidt. Councilmember Bartels.
Aye.
Councilmember Bealock.
Nay.
Councilmember Nazaro.
Aye.
Councilmember Labar.
Aye.
Councilmember Postum.
Aye.
6 yeas, 1 nay. Yeas have it. That ordinance Y 82 is passed. Thank you very much. And that concludes our action items. Do we have any staff reports, Mark?
The only thing I'll say is the legislative session started yesterday.
There
And
we
there is
go.
a lot of pre-filed bills and there'll be a lot more bills to come. Deborah is feeding me stuff daily, asking for input on. There's some very interesting things going on out there and studies that are maybe being conducted on PFAS and testing and biosolids. And there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. A lot of focus on housing, of course. Well, obviously with you may have seen Governor Inslee's proposed budget. Incoming Governor Ferguson has made some, I think, positive, maybe adoptions or changes to that, in terms of not relying solely on sort of forecasted increased revenue, but also taking I'll say a harder look at, state spending. He had proposed 4.4 billion in cuts. So I think at least from that point, that's encouraging that they're at least looking internally to see, where they could cut. And, hopefully do no more harm to cities than they already do. That was my snark. Other than that, Eastern winter sports in full swing. Get out and sport your eats. Thanks.
Thanks, Mark. For mine, Happy New Year, everyone. This is going to be an exciting year. We got a lot going on, a lot of projects. Just excited for 2025 is going to bring us.
Happy New Year. That's it.
Paul?
Public Works Committee meeting Thursday morning, 7 a.m. Be there, be square. Just real quick, had an interesting item. I had an interesting email from the Baker Construction president who a while back, we had a little bit of a hiccup within the building department on the project they were doing in Cheney's, but Mark and Todd took care of that and and I got this email that our building inspector sent a letter to the president just noting how well he worked with the project manager from Baker and praising him. And so the email consisted, so they were kind of caught off guard. So what they did is they took Terry's letter, made it into a plaque and a surprise meeting with a appreciation luncheon and surprised him with it. So it was kind of a cool ending to that. So I just wanted, before I told them that I'd let everybody know that our building inspector, and when we worked it all out with city officials, it all came to a good end. That doesn't happen that often.
Happily ever after.
That's my report.
Couple committee updates with SRTC last Thursday. I'll be working with Todd over the next month. We're doing the call for projects, like the preservation project. Yesterday, I went to the planning commission. They had 3 informational items. They looked at comp plan update, project update by staff. Todd offered a update, I guess, a full history lesson on the purple pipe project. Say that 10 times fast. One interesting thing to note in Todd's presentation last night was how much it cost to build our wastewater treatment plant back in 1994 versus what it's worth today. I think it was, I don't want to butcher, I think it's 16 million to 100 million.
A little over 12 million, Paul probably has a better idea than I do, but, when I asked Allison the same question, she's building comparable wastewater treatment plants to over 100 million.
Just again, to think of that inflation from 1994, is that right?
That's when we flipped the switch. We started in 93.
Upgrade.
I think the overall cost right now for purple pipe, about 30 million. Who knows what it would be in 30 years?
Yeah.
Probably over 100 easy. And then this Wednesday, going to the SWAC meetings. I think it's.
I just want to say I've never been more pleasantly surprised to be wrong. So I'm so glad that all those meeting minutes are posted. That's fantastic. I also, as digging through that, want to bring attention to the fact that you guys did an amazing job of actually putting the recordings on the website. So it may not be as accessible to everybody because it's not on like social media or YouTube or whatever, but this is a step in the right direction towards transparency. And I really appreciate the effort that you guys went into to upload those. So thank you.
Yeah, I sit on the Housing and Community Development Advisory Committee. Represent Cheney to that committee. We're just starting our process of going through the different projects that come in from nonprofits to dish out money to the 3 areas are affordable housing, homeless services, and community development. That's my committee update.
Thanks, Jason.
Have anything tonight?
Thanks, Mark.
Nothing for me.
All right. Well, thank you very much for being here. Move to adjourn. We are, motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
I'm gonna change that. I don't.
I don't think
Motion in a second. I can just.
I tell you, we found a lot.